bank that helps you reach your financial goals. Synovus.
Let's see, judges. Yes, looks like we have a winner.
That's a number?
Sorry, Charlie. Remember, a solid financial future doesn't happen by chance. Talk with Synovus about your potential today.
Brought to you by Synovus Bank, member FDIC, equal housing lender. The number was 4.
Your Jacksonville Sharks are back and ready to take the field for the 15th anniversary season. The Drive for 5 starts Sunday, April 6th as your Sharks take on the Las Vegas Nighthawks. Ask about special ticket pricing for all you sports teams at jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. 904-621-0700.
Go Sharks! Prosser here. Sharks football is back. Come celebrate the 15th anniversary season this Sunday, April 6th, as the Sharks take on the Las Vegas Nighthawks in their home opener at the VyStar Veterans Memorial Arena. Already 1-0, the Sharks look to crush Vegas on Pirates and Princesses Night. Have some family fun and break out your best pirate hat or tiara.
We're naught but humble pirates.
For tickets and special pricing for youth sports teams, go to jacksharks.com or call 904-621-0700. That's jacksharks.com or 621-0700.
Bueller, stay cooler with Bueller.
Hey man, what's that noise?
Do you hear it too? You can hear it, right?
Yeah, it's your air conditioner. It's like a grinding or a rattling.
And it's getting on your nerves, right? Like it's eating at your brain and you can't think straight, but it just keeps grinding and squeaking and taunting and nagging. You're not good enough. You're a failure. Why can't you be more like your sister, the lawyer?
Yeah, I don't hear that last part so much.
Yeah, but it's not cool, right, Jason?
It could definitely be cooler. At Bueller Air and Plumbing, we can totally repair whatever that noise is and get your AC working smoothly and silently. We fix these things all the time.
So I won't be a failure?
Life should be enjoyed. If some irritating, broken air conditioner is making you crazy, you could miss it.
Stay cooler with Bueller.
Visit BuellerAir.com.
This is your Mad Dad's Update with Chapter President Donald Ford. In our effort to curb crime, drugs, and violence during the summer months, we are offering Friday Night Lights. It has already started and will be going until school starts back. It is every Friday night from 6:30 to 9:30 at the Blacktop, 5732 Normandy Boulevard, and behind the Potter's House Christian Academy. We manage 3 basketball courts. You are not running on the cement. We have covering on each court. The Lakers, the Magic, and the Heat. Ages 15 to 40 years old. This will give them something to do other than selling drugs and getting into trouble. We have monitors there giving leadership. We have to wake up, stand up, and speak up. Hit me on Facebook and tell me what you think. Or MattDadJacksonville.com.
I'm Max Fink. Join me for the Gator Report on 1010XL as I break down the latest storylines in Gator Nation.
Put together by San Jose Collision on the home of the Florida Gators, 1010XL.
Go Gators!
Brian and Angela Wall here with Window World. By now, everyone has heard about saving money on their energy bills. There are all sorts of things you can do to cut energy costs, but most people don't think about their windows.
But Window World knows that the biggest energy loss in almost every home is the windows. There is more energy loss from old builder-grade windows than just about anything else in your home.
You can upgrade your heating and air, your appliances. That's good too. But before you do all that, upgrade your windows to Window World's energy-efficient windows.
Window World's windows are easy to clean, energy efficient, and have the best guarantee in the business.
Window World's slogan is simply the best for less, and we mean it. You get great American-made windows, and you get to keep more of your money when you buy from Window World. Need any more reasons to buy your windows from Window World? Call them today and set up your free in-home estimate, or go online to windowworldneflorida.com.
Window
World,
simply the best for less.
Thank you for your business.
Window World also offers energy-efficient doors.
This is the Mangler. Years of playing football coupled with lifestyle left my feet mangled with neuropathy. I was experiencing burning, tingling, and numbness. I spoke with 2 foot specialists and they told me there was no cure. They were wrong. I found Dr. Nate Riddle in Ponte Vedra. After utilizing his neuropathy treatment for only 2 weeks, I noticed a difference in my feet. I was regaining my feeling and balance. If you want relief from nerve pain, call Dr. Nate for a free consultation at Riddle Wellness, 904-395-5598.
Hey everybody, Jennifer Marion with Randy Marion Cadillac in Jacksonville here to say hello, and we'd sure like to have your business.
You know what? They're going to love the king of price.
My dad believes in making great deals and having a great selection in stock.
Cadillac XT4s, XT5s, and XT6s, and Escalades.
The all-electric Cadillac Lyrics.
CT4s and CT5s.
Cadillac luxury and selection is just waiting for you.
At Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard, Jacksonville.
And don't forget, tell them Jennifer sent ya.
1010XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now, the cool down from the cool guys at Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing. Fast, reliable, and honest service since '87.
Back here on 1010XL at 92.5 FM in the city of Jacksonville. We are glad you are with us. Florida, Auburn, Final Four, San Antonio, Texas on Saturday evening. Of course, you'll hear the game right here on 1010XL. I believe it's the first time ever we've had SEC versus SEC in a Final Four, and Florida makes their return to the Final Four for the first time in over a decade. Let's talk about all of it with my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Mr. Beard, how are you, my friend?
Well, it's exciting to be going into this weekend, and frankly, for this, look, I'm a college football guy. I always have been, always will be. But it really is exciting to see basketball earn its place at the table right now, and that's really the main topic. And it should be. This is a great Final Four. I mean, you could argue that these are the four best teams in the country. They're four of the highest rated teams. Their combined records 135 and 16. All four, this is amazing, all four in the top 10 in offense and defense, and three of them within 1,000 miles of San Antonio, and four coaches who have never won a title. So it's as good of a setup as we've seen in quite a while.
Yeah, first time since 2008, all four number one seeds make it to the Final Four. Brent, it was dicey for Florida on Saturday night. Goodness gracious, down 9 with 2:50 to go. I'll be honest, I thought it was over. I did not think Florida was going to come back, and I would imagine most people that are saying now that they did think Florida was going to come back are probably not being very truthful when there was 2:50 to go, down 9. But then Thomas Houck and Walter Clayton just absolutely took the game over, much like what happened against UConn. Look, Florida's playing with fire, and we'll get to that in a moment, but what a comeback on Saturday night to reach the Final Four.
This reminds me in some ways of Larry Munson's he had a call, and it may have been the Florida-Georgia game, to where Georgia came back and won, and he said in a real moment of transparency from Munson was, I thought it was over. You did too. Mm-hmm. And look, I'm with you on that. I mean, when you looked up and saw, you being general here, that Florida's behind double digits with this little time that was on the clock, it was almost like a Hoosiers type movie. It was just almost cinema, frankly, to get that behind the way they did. And look, as well as Clayton did in hitting the three, heck, does any of that matter if Thomas Houck does not hit consecutive three-pointers to get them closer in the game? It was just a miracle, and really makes you wonder. I'm not going to say Florida's a team of destiny. That's almost. It's not silly, but at the same time, it was just a marvelous comeback.
It was, and I give Todd Golden credit. I mean, we talk about the 4 threes. Obviously, they don't win without those. But the fouls, right? The 1-and-1 situation where they fouled Texas Tech, and some people say, well, yeah, Williams was an 84% free throw shooter. Yes, he was, but he was dog-tired, and he had only taken 2 free throws in the prior 2 games combined. Yeah. And he had not been to the line, but I believe one time the entire night on Saturday. and you could just tell that guy really didn't want any part of that free throw.
No, he really didn't. And as a matter of fact, as you remember, they missed actually 2 free throws that led to, or 2 players that missed free throws that led to the comeback. I wonder how much the UConn game prepared them for the Texas Tech game. And look, we need to give Texas Tech a lot of credit. I mean, the reality of that is, heck, I don't know if dominate's the word I want to use, but they control that game for basically the majority of the game. That they are a tough team. They play good defense, but that's one of those things. Oftentimes, if you hang in long enough, you'll be rewarded, and Florida was.
You see Brent Beard on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, it doesn't matter how Florida got here. Call it lucky, call it whatever you will. It doesn't matter because they're here. There are 4 teams remaining. There are 64 other teams that would love to be, quote, lucky to be in the Final Four. Remember, this thing started with 68. We're down to 4. So the fact that Florida got lucky, yeah, that's all fine and well, but none of it matters because they're here. Having said that, if they play like they did against UConn and they play like they did against Texas Tech, they will lose to Auburn by double digits. Whatever Florida needs to do in the next 72 hours, roughly, they need to find whatever it was they had in Nashville at the SEC tournament, because that Florida team can win the national championship. The Florida team we've seen in the last week and a half will lose by double digits on Saturday. Your thoughts?
Well, the game that Florida and Auburn played, Florida won because of their bigs gave Janai Broome all kinds of trouble. They irritated him. They annoyed him. They got in his way, and he missed shots from within 3 feet of the basket that he normally would get. But still, and Auburn hasn't been great as of late. They struggled toward the end of the year in the regular season. They've gotten things back together. Janai Broome has been hurt, then he comes back. So his toughness is something we don't question. But they've also had guys step up. Tahad Pettiford, the freshman, really came through in the Michigan State game. When Chad Baker-Mazara is behaving himself on the court, he is really a problem to deal with. Miles Kelly is a guy that is kind of on and off somewhat. They play. I heard former Auburn coach Sonny Smith say this yesterday, and he's right on. Auburn plays really good team defense. Their individual defense struggles at times, but their team defense is very good all in all. Florida really, Auburn's a team they really needed to play before they play, if they win, either Duke or Houston. Those 2 teams are just totally different animals. But this should be a lot of fun, being the first game. And look, this. I mean, you don't really know, but it wouldn't surprise me if this is 85-80 before it's over.
Couple more for Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark. Brent, quickly, this Florida-Auburn game, here's my take on it. You're going to have 2 motivated teams. And what I mean by that is Auburn's out for revenge from the loss in February. Florida has been told, even with that win in Auburn's gymnasium back on February 8th, that game really doesn't even matter because Auburn's still better than you. Auburn never got lower than Florida in the rankings. Auburn was higher national seed than Florida. Every SEC analyst had Auburn even higher in the SEC power rankings than Florida, despite Florida winning that game at Auburn, which I think could be a powerful motivator for the Gators as well.
No, well, there's no doubt about that. I mean, really at this point, what Todd Golden has done is just amazing. I mean, they really expect to win. He has given them that mentality, and they really deserve a lot of credit for that too. Interesting stat. I give John Rothstein credit for this. The 4 teams in the Final Four a combined 29 players, double-figure minutes. 20 of those guys were in the program last year, 4 freshmen and 5 were transfers. So retention is important for these teams. But listen, I can't tell people how badly they need to watch the Houston-Duke game to see 2 of the best coached teams in America from a defensive perspective. I mean, Houston guards you as soon as you get off the bus, before you even get in the arena. I mean, they are that good. They've had 1 loss since November. So from a coaching perspective, this is truly one of the greatest Final Fours we may have ever had.
It'll be great. San Antonio, Texas, and, of course, the Auburn-Florida matchup, 6:09 Eastern on Saturday, and you'll hear it right here on 1010XL. Brent, final college basketball thought, 1,225 roughly. That number is the number of college basketball players in the men's game that are in the transfer portal, and the season is not over yet. We're having guys commit to different schools while teams are still playing. We touched upon this briefly last week, but the fact that it's over 1,200 players while the season is still going, the NCAA has got to do something about the calendar.
They do. They've all we've done something about the football calendar, and we've got to do something about the basketball calendar. You can't deal with this continually. Bruce Pearl is on that committee to discuss this. I mean, he would certainly understand it, but there's no doubt it's got to be moved out of the regular season. And it's like football next month. Well, this month, actually, since we're in April now, the reality is that's the reason we're not seeing spring football games is because the portal opens like the Monday after most of the spring games are played. So that, yes, the calendar is still an enemy of football and basketball that's got to be tamed at some point.
Brent, as we begin to wrap up, a couple of things I want to hit people with. Number one, Florida, a nice pickup on the recruiting trail earlier this week from the South Florida area. And anytime they can go into the Miami area and get a 4-star prospect, that's a great sign for the Gators.
Well, he's a Rivals 100 kid, Jabari Flowers out of Miami Northwestern. You know what a powerhouse that is. Auburn, Georgia, Miami, Notre Dame, Syracuse, and North Carolina involved with him. He was the number 82 overall in 24/7. So the point is, he's a top 100 player in at least a couple of the ratings, and that certainly helps this recruiting class for the Gators.
No, it does. Again, anytime Miami Northwestern, any of those schools down there that Florida can dive into and get prospects, that's a great sign for Billy Napier moving forward. And then finally, Brent, you and I talked about this a little earlier off air. Really interesting story. I believe it's Coastal Carolina.
It is.
It is Coastal Carolina. Okay, so the story goes that season ticket holders, or I guess anybody that attends their home football games coming up here in 2025, not only will enjoy the football product, which they'll pay for the ticket to get into the stadium, but they will enjoy food and beverage, Brent, at the concession area for nothing, for absolutely nothing. That's a really interesting concept.
Fans can get 4 items per concession visit: hot dogs, nachos, popcorn, and fountain drinks, with zero limit on the number of in-game visits. How about that?
Wow. And look, I mean, you know, the thing is, like, I commend them for doing that. Yes. I can't imagine many are going to follow suit because obviously concessions is a money grab for people, and it's a way to make the living. I'm shocked when I saw that, and I wonder what the end result will be.
Well, frankly, it's a genius marketing move. Which makes you really wonder, they will get some reward for this, if nothing else, in public relations. And to your point, it really will be fascinating to see who follows suit with this, because frankly, it really is a great idea. And by the way, real quick, the NCAA has denied the proposed spring game between Colorado and Syracuse. Part of the reason was that some of the spring games are already over. I mean, not many of them, but a few of them have been. And I really wonder if they come and revisit this next year, if something may come of that. So, and speaking of, that's going to be a revenue stream too, if you have a couple of teams actually play each other. So we'll certainly keep our eye on that one.
I mean, we see inter-squad scrimmages in NFL training camps leading into, and obviously we see NFL preseason games. I know you and I have talked about this for years, that why don't, Florida Atlantic and Florida State or FIU and Florida, get together? It would be exposed, and I would do state versus state, so you limit the travel. Yeah. But it would give, FIU, FAU, USF kind of exposure, Georgia State, Georgia Southern, Georgia Tech, get together in the spring. You could do it in pretty much every state. I think it would benefit a lot of people.
It would, and again, another revenue stream, but that would be a lot of fun. I think a lot of people would like to see their favorite college team play someone else in the spring game, and whoever has to travel, I'm sure that would be dealt with one way or another. But these are ideas that really need to come. Now, another ideal real quick is turning spring games or spring practice into basically OTAs. That has been kind of volleyed around a little. So we'll see where that goes.
Brent, leave us with this. The Final Four. Who wins on Saturday night and who plays for the title and wins it on Monday?
I think Florida beats Auburn, and I think probably Houston wins. I think you've got Florida in Houston. And I've been on the Florida bandwagon the whole time, so I will stay on it. It certainly won't be easy, but boy, what a shot in the arm that would do for the SEC and for Florida basketball, and also.
From your mouth to the basketball powers that be's ears, Florida is who Brent Beard has. Let's hope Mr. Beard is correct. Brent, I always appreciate you, brother. We'll recap the national championship game next Tuesday.
Good. Look forward to it, bud. Take care.
And thank you to my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You also get him weekly right here on Hacker After Dark, as obviously we spent a lot of time on the first SEC versus SEC Final Four matchup that there's been, Florida and Auburn. That's right. That's kind of hard to believe, but it's the first time two teams from the Southeastern Conference will face off in a national semifinal. Of course, Duke and Houston is the other game on Saturday, and what should be a terrific night of basketball. Look, I know locally if Florida loses to Auburn, the Duke-Houston game will lose a lot of its significance, I guess. If Florida beats Auburn, I imagine Gator fans, if you're not out celebrating, you'll be locked in to Duke and Houston. But regardless, there's going to be two really good basketball games, four really good basketball teams there in San Antonio on Saturday night. Of course, you'll hear Florida and Auburn right here on 1010XL. Pregame coverage beginning at 5:30. And then Sean Kelly and Lee Humphrey will be on the call on the Gator Radio Network for the opening tip beginning right about 6:09 Eastern Time on Saturday evening. Well, that will just about do it, man. It has been a very, very busy Thursday night edition of Hacker After Dark. We certainly appreciate you guys hanging out with us here on 1010XL and on 92.5 FM. We have a ton of people to thank. Again, my buddy Brent Beard. You see him locally on First Coast News. You get him weekly here on Hacker After Dark, as we not only talked Final Four, talked a little spring football as well. Thank you to JP Acosta of SB Nation. Always love catching up with JP to talk not only about the Jaguars, which we did, looking back on free agency and certainly looking ahead to the Jaguar draft, but looking around the AFC South, whether it's Houston, Indianapolis, Tennessee, it has been a very, I would call it odd offseason in the division. I mean, you look at Houston with what they've done to their offensive line. It was bad last year. I'm not sure if it's any better now. Tennessee had a lot of money to spend and chose not to spend a lot of it. They're about to draft Cam Ward, it appears, in the draft at number 1. And then Indianapolis did something they don't normally do. They did spend money in the offseason, particularly in the secondary, but they now have a full-blown quarterback controversy on their hands with Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. So, again, an odd offseason all the way around in the AFC South. But thank you to JP Acosta of SB Nation. And then back in hour number 1, my buddy Mark Wise of ESPN. He's our college basketball guy here on Hacker After Dark. I've had Mark on for years. Certainly value his opinion, and we appreciate Mark taking time out with us to preview both matchups coming up in the Final Four. Now, we will be back tomorrow, both at 4 o'clock